welcome back to Classic Comics. Today I am taking a look at Ghost Machine #1, the first issue from the new line of comics at Image, featuring a number of creators such as Geoff Johns, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Jason Fabok, Francis Manapul, Peter Tomasi, Ivan Reis, and some others, mostly former DC talent. I did a video about this line of comics previously, a couple months ago, and talked about how this kind of reminded me of Image Comics back in the 90s when a bunch of artists left Marvel and started Image, and wondered, of course, in that whole thing with Image, it revolutionized comics. It was a hugely influential and helped kick off the comic boom of the 90s. And I wondered if this wouldn't perhaps lead to something similar. It probably won't, because I think the market has just changed too much, and this just probably isn't going to have the same kind of influence. So I wonder if this can be the next big thing in comics. Now, this is one of those, it's kind of an anthology issue where there's a bunch of about, 8 or 9 page stories that introduce the various different characters in this Ghost Machine line of comics. Now, the first one is about a character called Geiger by Geoff Johns and Gary Frank. And this is part of a line of books called The Unnamed, which involves a group of adventurers across several different time periods, it seems like. Now, Geiger is a post-apocalyptic setting that's about 25 years in the future. And this character, Geiger, who's radioactive, he's got radioactive powers, he's a tragic character, lost his family in the nuclear war, and he's now kind of wandering the wastelands in the aftermath of it all. The art is by Gary Frank, which is top-notch, as always. And Johns is a solid writer, but I wondered just what this is really going to be about. He doesn't seem to have any real particular purpose or mission. Again, he just seems to be, the way they set up, he's just kind of wandering around in this nuclear wasteland without much of a purpose. Now, he encounters this character, who they refer to as the Nuclear Knight, and he clearly, to me, seems to be a takeoff on the Atomic Knight, which is an old DC Silver Age character. And this storyline kind of leads into the next part, which is about Redcoat. Now, Redcoat is kind of a Highlander-type character. He's become immortal somehow. It isn't made clear how this happened. Even he doesn't seem to really know why he's immortal. But he was a British soldier in the Revolution. And he's a bit of a ne'er-do-well type character, kind of a jerk. And this is actually the character that interests me the most. He encounters several historic personalities, including Benedict Arnold. Apparently, Benedict Arnold is also an immortal, and he is kind of Redcoat's nemesis, it looks like. But they also mention Einstein, Davy Crockett, Annie Oakley, and then there's this other guy called the Northerner, who apparently is also an immortal like him. Now, there are suggestions that this is going to involve a lot of the kind of speculative history that has cropped up around the Founding Fathers over the years. Them being involved with Freemasonry and involved in mysticism and stuff like that. And I find that all really interesting, and I'm definitely going to give this series a try. It's also written by Johns, and the art is by Brian Hitch. And here they give a timeline that involves this unnamed line of books, and it starts with Redcoat in the 1700s. Then you've got the Northerner in the this is during the Civil War. Then a character they refer to as the Monster, apparently appearing in the 40s. He's created in the 40s, and saying the monster is made, that kind of makes it sound like he's like a Frankenstein type character, maybe. Then Junkyard Joe in the 70s. Now, Junkyard Joe, as I said in the previous video, I talked about, and I'll put a link to that up in the corner. Junkyard Joe seems to be a pretty clear takeoff on the GI Robot, which is another DC character. I really suspect that this whole unnamed thing is some kind of a pitch that Geoff Johns had to DC with a bunch of obscure characters he was going to use, and they turned it down, and now he's repurposed it into this line of comics. Now, in the 90s, there's this character named American Widow X who pops up. Then in the present, there's mention of this character called the First Ghost. Then in 5 years, this war called the Unknown War erupts, and then 25 years later, you've got Geiger walking around. So it sounds interesting, and like I said, I'm definitely going to check out Redcoat, and I don't know, I may check out Geiger too. We'll see. And they've got these kind of who's who style entries on these characters that kind of gives you background. Again, there's Junkyard Joe. Just an obvious GI Robot takeoff. Redcoat, the Northerner. And this woman is the president in the present. And I think she's connected to that First Ghost character somehow. And I don't know, but I strongly suspect that the First Ghost is maybe going to kind of be a takeoff on Uncle Sam, the DC Uncle Sam character, maybe. Now, the next one is Rook Exodus. And this is a sci-fi story about this alien world that has been colonized by humanity. And there are these guys called the Wardens. And they wear these helmets that allow them to communicate with and control animal life. But each of them controls like a particular type. And the main character, Rook, he controls crows and ravens, that kind of thing. There's this guy called Swine. He controls pigs and boars. The world, again, it's kind of a wasteland, and Rook is trying to build a rocket ship to escape it, it seems. The art is by Jason Fabok. And again, Johns is the writer, and Fabok's an excellent artist. This feels like a concept that would work better as a miniseries or a graphic novel rather than an ongoing monthly to me. I'm just not that crazy about it. I'm just not sure it's a great setup for a monthly series. Also, I think a book where all your characters have their faces hidden all the time, because all these Wardens, they all wear these masks, and it seems like they never take them off. So their faces are always hidden. And I think when a character's features are hidden all the time, that's going to make it difficult for the reader to really connect with them and kind of sympathize with them. So, well, again, I love Fabok's art, but I'm just not that interested in this one. Now, next we have another line called Family Odysseys, and this one seems to be a more kid-friendly kind of wholesome sort of type of comic, more directed at young readers, I guess. And the first title is The Rockefellers, and the Rockefellers are a family from the future who are hiding out in the present from some threat, something that's threatening them in the future, and they're trying to pass themselves off as a normal family. It's written by Peter Tomasi with art by Francis Manipal, and it seems like a fun book. I'm not sure I'd pick it up monthly, but I would probably grab some trade paperbacks of it, I think. It seems like a good book for kids. It emphasizes a traditional family, which in this day and age makes it unusual just on that alone. It feels very much like a kind of Silver Age concept to me. And then we have this next story, also written by Tomasi, which is called Hornsby and Halo. And this one's interesting. So in this preview we see these two kids playing a baseball game. And I'll go to the entry in the back here because it kind of explains the whole thing more easily. So Hornsby and Halo, and here's the backstory. So how do you keep the cosmic peace between heaven and hell all within the confines of a small town called Warwick in uptown New York? If you're a leader on each side of the opposing forces of angels and demons, you broker a deal that trades Zachary Halo, an angel child, to a demon family, and Rose Hornsby, a demon child, to an angel family, and cross your fingers that an everlasting truce takes hold and the balance of power remains stable in a good old mutually assured destruction kind of way. It's nature versus nurture, as the age-old battle of good and evil is as simple as who speaks louder, the angel on Rose's shoulder or the demon on Zachary's shoulder, as the turbulence of adolescence comes crashing down on two teenagers who have no idea just who and what they truly are yet. So it's an interesting idea. You've got these two kids, one who's angelic, one who's demonic, but they don't know it. And, you know, the demonic child is being fostered by this angelic family, I guess. And you see in this initial scene here, you know, she wakes up and her father's all like happy and sort of effervescent and very supportive of her and all that. And then the angelic kid, he's being raised by this other family and this mother, and she's like borderline abusive to him and treats him like crap. And I mean, I don't know what the whole point of it is, but it does sound like an interesting setup. Again, this sounds like kind of a Silver Age idea. Like I could see something like this in the Silver Age. It would be more, I think, overtly humorous, you know, and kind of silly, like Casper the Ghost or Hot Stuff or something like that. And then finally, we have Hyde Street. And again, this is written by Geoff Johns and with art by Ivan Reis. And it's hard to be sure exactly what to make of this. It seems to be some kind of a horror suspense kind of title. It mentions that Hyde Street exists in every town, in every city, in every time period in some way or another. And it seems to be setting up some kind of a Twilight Zone / Tales from the Dark Side type of concept. Perhaps some kind of anthology with characters who get into weird situations and meet ironic ends. Ivan Reis is one of my favorite artists, so I love seeing his work here. I might try this one as long as he's doing the art, but I don't know, again, if I would want to buy it monthly. I'd probably be more inclined to get it in trade. And there are other characters and titles that they mention that aren't shown, like First Ghost and this Soulless. I'm not sure what that's about. I'll say that, first of all, the work on these titles looks to be of excellent quality. These are some of the most talented creators in the business, and these all seem to be well written, and the art is great for the most part. And these creators generally don't seem to veer into wokeness very much. So I don't think that's going to be a big issue for these comics. As far as titles, I'll buy monthly. I'll try Geiger and Redcoat, definitely. Junkyard Joe when that comes out. And some of these other unnamed titles, I think. But I'm not sure how much I would buy on a regular basis beyond that. Anyway, let me know your thoughts on Ghost Machine #1. What do you think of these characters? Do you have any interest in them? If so, what would you be interested in buying? Do you think Ghost Machine is going to be a success? Can this help turn a dying comic market around? Is this going to be the next big thing, or is this going to pretty much come to nothing? Let me know in the comments, and please like this video and sub to the channel and check out some of my other videos, and I will see you all next time. Thanks for watching.